Well, the reality is, if your basic needs aren't met, food, shelter, and a roof over your head, you're going to turn back to criminality. So the knock-on effect is it has a direct negative impact on the local community. It doesn't just affect that prison leaver, but also the wider community as well, and will probably push them back into reoffending.
That's a fair point, but they shouldn't be jumping the queue. In London, there are 300,000 people who are waiting for homes. The average wait is between 4 and 10 years. These are young families in appalling accommodation. Why should prisoners jump the queue? It is wrong.
Guys, let's be super honest with ourselves. Over this past 1 to 2 weeks, we've seen that practically crime does pay. A lot of people say crime doesn't pay, but it actually does. Because if you're a criminal and you go to jail, as what we've seen, 1,700 offenders have been released before their date. In addition, about a few days ago, Sadiq Khan came out with a useless proposal which said, let's prioritize the criminals for housing. Never mind the people who are law-abiding citizens, never mind the people who pay taxes, never mind the people who follow law and order in the United Kingdom. Nah, don't worry about them. Let's prioritize the criminals who have come out of jail and let's put them on a fast track to housing so that they can have nice shelter, they can have nice food. And from what I've been reading, on top of that, he wants to do the same with illegal immigrants. Well, they've been living life luxury in the United Kingdom. They've been having housing, food, everything paid for, pocket money, at the expense of who? Yourself and myself that pay tax. You know, we are funding their lifestyle, and they're not even citizens in the United Kingdom. When they do crime, they're barely ever charged. And now, on top of that, criminals that have been discharged from prison that are now on the streets get priority as it relates to housing. You know, we need to look out for their needs first, you know, instead of the British public. And, you know, we're seeing an absolute shambles in the United Kingdom over this past 1 to 2 weeks, honestly speaking. And we're seeing the law alongside the Labour Party as being exposed and being weak. And when people see this from all over the world, when people see this domestically, people are going to reoffend. They're going to understand, hang on, you haven't got jails. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. And then you just get chaos. We're already living in chaos, but then you get further chaos. You know, we see that you can't walk the streets with a phone. We understand knife crimes going through the roof. We understand that people are not being sentenced, they're being pardoned. So we're basically seeing a huge mess. And this is why when I made my poll a few weeks ago, well, actually like over a month ago now, 1 to 2 months ago, saying, has multiculturalism failed in the UK? A lot of people said, yes, it has. So yeah, but anyway, guys, we're gonna watch a video right now. It's gonna be just a little debate. So they're gonna be talking about prisoners being given priority for housing in the UK. One guy thinks that, hang on, this should be happening. The other guy thinks it shouldn't be happening. So we're just gonna have a look at the debate, and then I'm gonna come with my conclusion. It's not gonna be a long video, a quick short one. Let's just share some ideas. So yeah.
Now, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has said some prisoners might need to jump the queue when it comes to housing to stop them reoffending.
Yeah, more than 8,000 people released from prison go directly to rough sleeping upon release. So, to try and avoid this problem, should prisoners be prioritised when it comes to getting a home, even if it means other people, law-abiding people you could argue, who've been waiting longer, miss out? Well, joining us now to discuss this is youth violence prevention campaigner James Watkins, who thinks the knock-on effect of these prisoners being homeless is huge, and criminal barrister and former MP Jerry Hayes, who thinks there are more deserving people waiting to be housed. James, just spell out to us, because I think for a lot of people, the knee-jerk feeling would be, what? People on the queue waiting for a home? Why is it going for? What are the knock-on effects and what are the problems with not finding prisoners released to home?
Well, the reality is, if your basic needs aren't met, food, shelter, and a roof over your head, you're going to turn back to criminality. So the knock-on effect is it has a direct negative impact on the local community. It doesn't just affect that prison leaver, but also the wider community as well, and will probably push them back into reoffending.
That's a fair point, but they shouldn't be jumping the queue. In London, there are 300,000 people who are waiting for homes. The average wait is between 4 and 10 years. These are young families in appalling accommodation. Why should prisoners jump the queue? It is wrong.
Well, for me, I don't categorize people as prisoners or people who are prisoners or aren't prisoners. So people that have been in prison have needs also. And for me, what's important is people that are at risks themselves, and then that may have a negative effect to the wider community.
Don't disagree.
And that's important.
Don't disagree with a word of that. But why should they be given priority over people who have been waiting for years? That can't be right, can it?
Because again, it's measured by risks. There'll be other people that are also high risk, such as drug and alcohol abusers. There'll be a lot of people that are high
they
risk.
shouldn't be in prison in the first place.
Yeah, I knew it. Let's sympathise with the criminals. I knew this was what would be the solution for the guy on the left. Jerry Hayes makes such a good point. 300,000 people waiting. Why would you brush them off and say, yeah, don't worry about you. We need to prioritise the criminals so that they don't reoffend. No, if you've been given early release, you now need to show that, you can change your life. You now need to show that you can follow laws, you can abide by laws, you don't need to, you shouldn't be getting priority as it pertains to housing. That's absolute insanity. And honestly, guys, to be so honest, this is where woke has gotten us to. I'm just being completely honest. This is the result of wokeness, being so woke. Everyone's feelings, everyone matters the same. Yes, I understand that, but when you have criminals that have offended and of course havoc on the streets, etc., then they shouldn't be coming out of jail early, number one. Number two, they shouldn't be given priority housing. You need to look after the public first. And this is what I'm saying, guys. We just seem to be, on a fast track to Armageddon. We seem to be going down the wrong road. And in my opinion, we seem to be on a fast track to another riot, because people aren't going to take this for much longer, And this is what I'm saying when I say that woke has destroyed society. It's even allowed criminals to feel emboldened to come out of jail saying, yes, I should have housing. Yes, I should have more meals. Yes, I should have funding from the government. And unfortunately, we've just got to a point of wreckage, and yeah, it seems like this man on the right is the only one with sense, because he's actually fighting out against this. So yeah.
I appreciate
Well,
that. That's an
where we
argument
are.
to be made.
mean, the thing is, people watching, whatever the facts might be from your work and your experience, will be thinking, hang on, I haven't committed a crime. I've done the right thing. I'm waiting for my basic needs to be met, my food and shelter. Why, just because someone presents a risk to the community, therefore a threat, why should they be given preferred treatment?
Again, for me, it's about the risk. I think the question that you just asked really answers it within itself, because not only are they in a dire situation, but it also affects the wider community. So the same people that are complaining about it will be the same people that are complaining about offences rising and crime rates rising as well. So
Is the problem there's
swings and
just
roundabouts.
not enough homes and not enough money?
Yes.
And someone has to make a choice?
Yes, and that's the thing which government has got a bit of a problem on making choices. Look at pensioners and the cold weather payments. The fact of the matter is there are people who've been waiting a long time for housing. Look, Rob, before you say, 1,700 people released last week.
Right.
In October, it's going to be 5,500.
But if they're sleeping rough, what James is saying
They
is
should
that
be
they're
sleeping.
likely to reoffend
Yes.
and do violence in their own community. Just to be clear, what Sadiq Khan is suggesting is prisoners shouldn't skip the queue, as you're suggesting, for permanent housing, but they need to have temporary housing at the very least. Otherwise, over 15% of them are going to be sleeping rough and committing
I agree,
crime,
but
Jerry.
you see, you can smell the burning rubber from that U-turn. That's not what he said yesterday. His PR people have said, you can't say that. The optics are wrong. The optics are wrong because the policy is wrong. Yes, there's got to be rehabilitation. There's got to be education. People who are in prison with mental health and drugs problems should not be there. And we've got a good, it's Labour Party minister, James Timpson, who believes in all of this. But to prioritise prisoners is wrong. and the public won't like it.
Jerry seems to be the only man with logic sitting on this panel. You know, he's the only one stating the common sense argument. You know, under no circumstances should these criminals be given priority. In addition, I'd add on to his point and actually say that there are a lot of people right now that have been sleeping rough. What have you done with that over the past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? You know, let's just look at Sadiq Khan since he's been in power. You know, what has he done to tackle the homelessness that's been happening right here on the streets? You know, he's done nothing. He's ignored the homelessness on the streets of London, hasn't done much. Knife crime, yeah, don't worry. You can't take your phone out yet, don't worry. But criminals come out now, yep, they need housing because they're going to reoffend. What about the ones that are currently on the streets? They have been given a side eye and they've been ignored. So again, of course it's an agenda. You can't make me believe it's not an agenda. Priority seems to be the people coming out of jail instead of the people that are already, you know, homeless on the streets or have certain situations going on whereby they might need housing, whereby they need an alternative to where they're currently staying. But he doesn't care about that. He's ignored it for such a long time. And now prisoners come out, they get priorities.
So, Jerry, what is your answer then? What do you think needs to be done? Because the reality is up to 15% of prison leavers, once they're leaving custody, are going straight into rough sleeping.
Yeah.
Without shelter. So what do you think should be done?
Firstly, you know, when 12 weeks before you leave a prison sentence, you should be given advice. Yeah. You can go to NACRO, you can do it, but it's not working. Now, one of the things that Sadiq Khan said later, okay, budget hotels. I don't object to that, but not permanent housing.
Okay.
Well, look, we asked you at home to vote on whether you think former prisoners should be prioritised over others when it comes to houses. Only 8% agreed with Mayor Sadiq Khan, and a massive 92% think the Mayor of London is wrong and they shouldn't be prioritised. But thank you very much.
Very much, both of you.
For a very interesting debate. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, only in the United Kingdom does this topic make mainstream media news and warrant a debate when common sense should be implemented and the people, politicians, the mayor should know that this is a bad idea. And look at the poll, you know, this is left-leaning. You have to remember, Good Morning Britain is left-leaning, and their audience is saying, how much was it? 92% said no, 8% said yes. Come on. This is a left-leaning audience that are telling you no, like, come on, guys, man, let's just use common sense. Let's just use common sense, you know? And this is why there's so much problems, you know, in the United Kingdom, because the people that are following the law are being, their tax pounds are being taken and they're being given to illegal immigrants. Their tax pounds are being taken and are being given to accommodate criminals. So, you know, it just make sense at the end of the day. You know, people are following the law, others are not, but yet the ones that are not following the law are getting privileges over the people that are following the law. This is an absolute wreckage of, you know, of society. This cannot go on for much longer, and people need to find an alternative, or they just need to implement common sense in their policies. Because if this carries on, then, you know, I dread to think, you know, what can be happening in the UK in the next couple of years. It's just getting disturbing now. The fact that this has to make mainstream media news and we need to warrant a debate for this topic, it's so disturbing. Anywhere else around the world, they don't need to have a debate on this, because common sense says, hey, if you're a criminal, you've offended, you've come out, you should be happy to be out early. That's number one. So you need to get your life on track. You know, it's like, what's his name? Jerry said at the end, 12 weeks before you're released, you're given advice on what you can do. And in the UK, there are many alternatives that, you know, you can turn to help your situation. But ultimately, you should be looking to turn your life around, and you should be looking to, you know, make progression and not go back to reoffending. So yeah, but yeah. People always make excuses for criminals in this day, it seems. Sad times we're living in, honestly. But anyway, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.